Hernandez here with Lives Matter. I made it back from DC, have a bunch of news. Actually broke news. This is the first time I'm actually covering articles that are because of my own coverage. We got coverage with Breitbart, Daily Wire, we got coverage with Blaze, and we also got coverage with Fox News. Guys, this is huge. This is because of your donations, because of the Real News Gang. For those of you that support me on Patreon monthly, thank you guys so much. If you are not yet, join the gang now. The links are in the description. Guys, listen, or even give a one-time donation. Every cent, every dollar counts. I thank you guys so much. Because of your donations, we are literally making headline news on Breitbart, Daily Wire, Blaze TV, and Fox News as well. It's all because of you. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the hands and feet of this movement. And also make sure to subscribe below and hit the bell notification to never miss a post from me. And let's get into this. So Saturday, I caught wind of a protest. It was pouring rain. So I didn't think it was really going to be anything. I showed up and there was maybe about 45 people there, max, just standing under a tree, unified in the rain, talking about social injustice, and just chanting weird, robotic chants together.
Those who face intersections of race, ethnicity, gender, class, disability, immigration status, neurodivergence, and sexual orientation.
There was a ringleader. He was kind of like a potbelly little ringleader that was leading the people in chants.
Do not shower.
Do not shower
With hot water.
with hot water.
Because that shit will burn.
Because that shit will burn.
Wash yourself with cold water.
With cold water.
Because at the end of the day,
Because at the end of the
you
day,
want to open your pores.
you want to open your pores.
To believe me.
To believe
Your
me.
housemate will wonder.
Your housemate will
Why the
wonder,
fuck are you screaming in the bathroom?
why the fuck are you screaming in the bathroom?
Because it burns.
Because it burns.
And we have to fight that same enemy, that same system, that same whiteness that keeps infiltrating our globe. So white people, be friendlier. I'm a really nice neighbor. Y'all live around me and every time I say hi, you rush inside and you lock up your bike and it's weird. Just say hi. If you have people of color and LGBTQ plus in your office, talk to them. It's lonely. It's weird. And I need people to stick up for me and say that this is a professional outfit because I do not conform to your whiteness and I'll wear whatever the fuck I want.
So I guess this is like their pregame just to hype themselves up. They have like these weird anti-white speeches with a potbelly ringleader that's wearing a mesh shirt that you could see through and see his disgusting nipples and body that nobody really wants to see, that's leading the robotic NPCs and these weird communist chants. I guess this is what they do before they, go and protest. This is literally what I witnessed in DC. It was pouring rain and it just seems so miserable and so sad. You have nothing else better to do than stand in the pouring rain under a tree in DC, reciting robotic chants about inequality and transgenderism, while listening to some pot-belly goblin guy with a mesh shirt on, just leading you into the next civil rights movement. I'm sorry, you guys. I just cannot take this stuff serious. I do my best to not laugh while I'm there, but I gotta show you guys this stuff because this is what's happening in America in the name of Black Lives Matter and social justice. So then the protest began. Now, this was interesting. It began and they started storming the streets, shutting down traffic. Take a look.
The people, fight the power, fuck the police, and police down. We the people, fight the power, fuck the police, and police down. We the people, fight the power, fuck the police.
Now, what's interesting about this, you guys, is while they're protesting, just saying all these obscene things and obscene chants, it literally looks like a circus is just walking through the town. They even start shouting all these profane chants, even towards black cops, calling black cops racist, and they gotta go. Take a look at this.
Ho, ho! These racist cops have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! These racist cops have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! These racist cops have got to go, hey, hey!
I cannot put two and two together. I just don't understand the logic. Even if you can call it logic, I don't understand their thinking. Black Lives Matter is for black people, yet you're still spitting all kinds of profane things, even at black DC cops, calling them racist, and they gotta go? What about his family? What about his children? What about his career? I guess if you're a black cop in DC, I guess you could say in America, you don't matter to Black Lives Matter. Why? Because of hypocrisy. Then the protest actually went straight through a food district where people are hanging out, bars, just chilling, and they had teaching time. And I guess the teaching theme for today was for white people to learn a few things about black people. Take a look.
So we're going to educate some people that you murdered because you decided to gentrify black and brown communities. We are here tonight. Because Black Lives Matter. Your dinner does not matter. Black Lives Matter. Your dinner doesn't matter. Because black people are dying in the hands of the motherfucking police. So while your white ass is dying, black people are dying. We are here tonight. To read you some facts about the murder of black trans people in our community.
And to be honest with you guys, I know a lot of people, when they see this footage, they're like, oh man, the poor white people and the poor DC residents. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for them at all. And here's why. They are literally chanting and clapping along with these people as they walk through this district. Look. Oh, and then I actually caught the face of Black Lives Matter, the actual face of Black Lives Matter, the representation of what this movement is. If you don't believe me, take a look at this clip.
Black Lives Matter! 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 Black Lives.
Yeah, kids, don't do crack. As we were marching, we ended up in front of a Target, and this is where things got extremely interesting. This is what made headline news. These clips coming up had over 1 million views on Twitter. Breitbart covered it, Daily Wire covered it, and Blaze TV covered it as well. And Black Lives Matter then stormed a shopping center and literally forcefully opened up the door and went into a Target. There were still customers inside of the Target, and there were still employees inside of the Target. Some of the employees had their phones out, probably calling the cops, but Black Lives Matter had a message for Target.
You prioritize money over people. So until you stop calling the police, we continue to shut your business down.
Would you look at that? Trespassing. Black Lives Matter, trespassing into Target, opening up the door themselves, walking into the Target to protest Black Lives Matter. But they're not just protesting, they're making demands and they're making threats. And they're literally telling Target, hey, Target, if you call the cops on a black person ever again, we will shut your business down. Does that sound familiar, gang? Remember the last episode of my podcast that I put out where Mr. Hawk Newsom himself, the leader of Greater New York's Black Lives Matter chapter, coming out and saying what on national TV? That if America doesn't give us what we want, we will burn down the system. Sounds pretty similar, doesn't it? Now, Black Lives Matter is making threatening demands to Target. Yet mainstream media and CNN and MSNBC continue to say that these organizations are peaceful and they're just peacefully protesting when they're not. Because peacefully protesting is not making threats to human beings or even to businesses. Trespassing. Can you imagine if Trump supporters were to do something like this? Can you imagine if anyone on the right or conservatives were to trespass a business and start making demands and threats as such? Like Black Lives Matter gets a card and a pass to do so? Oh, you know the media, CNN and MSNBC would be blasting it till the cows come home. Calling them racists, calling them white supremacists, calling them terrorists. But Black Lives Matter gets a pass. Why? Because they're bought and paid for, and also because they're black. They represent black people. They're minorities. We don't get a pass. I don't want a pass just because of the color of my skin. I don't want to be treated differently. I don't want to be treated like I'm some kind of special human being or some kind of victim. They claim to want equality, but they want to use their passes. They want to use their own privilege. They claim that white people have privilege, but it is very clear, America. Black people and brown people are clearly getting privilege at this moment in American history, and that's just a fact. They are hypocrites. Now, what I want to point out about this is a viral clip. I want to give you guys some insight as to what was happening. While this was all taking place, the Washington Police Department, DC Police, they were allowing it to happen. To be honest with you, the DC Police were actually following the protest all night long. It was almost sectioned off street by street for miles. I think they marched about 17 miles for 4 hours. Street by street, the police were facilitating it. Now, is it the police fault? Were they told to stand down? Were they told to do nothing, especially when Black Lives Matter stormed a Target and trespassed into it and started making threats, saying if you call the police, we'll shut you down? I'm pretty sure the mayor has something to do with that because Trump has been very vocal saying that the mayor is doing absolutely nothing. And I kind of have evidence that might suggest that might be true. Why were the police in DC facilitating trespassing of a Target, of a private business, and doing nothing? There were Target employees that had their phones out that were calling the police, but they were being threatened not to. And the police were just standing outside doing nothing. This is what it means to have lawlessness. This is what it means to defund the police, to disarm the police. Where if you are even black and you work in a Target and you call the cops on a black person that is threatening anyone, Target's going to go down, according to Black Lives Matter. This is Black Lives Matter. This is who they are. This is what they say. This is the threats that they make in the name of black people, in the name of social justice, and in the name of even George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and every single black person that is a martyr, according to their organization. They are now making threats to corporate America that if you call the cops on a black person ever again, we will shut you down. Sounds pretty peaceful to me. We broke news back to back, gang, in one weekend. Daily Wire, Breitbart, and Fox News picked up this next story where a bunch of SJW radical communists literally went to Jeff Bezos' house in DC and set up a guillotine in front of his house as a form of protest against anyone that's a capitalist or capitalism itself. That is the epitome, I guess, in the form of Jeff Bezos. Take a look.
Put it down, put it down when nobody around. With the crowd, wear it down, wear a shirt that stage on bound.
Now, they were giving their communist comrades speeches in front of Jeff Bezos' house, talking about how capitalism is evil and capitalism is killing people and capitalism is absolutely the reason why people are gonna go to hell and burn forever and it's destroying our world. While they put up a guillotine in front of his house in protest of capitalism. You see, communism has a problem with capitalism because they think that it's evil in its origins. They think that if you own your own business, that if you make your own money, that if you start your own corporate anything in America, that if you build from the ground up and you become wealthy in America, that you are evil for doing so. That if you hire people and if you have employees, you are evil. and you deserve to be guillotined. This is what communists believe. And this is where we are in America. You now have radical SJWs. And Jeff Bezos actually claims to come out in support of Black Lives Matter all over Amazon's website, all over in the public. But now even radical SJWs are knocking on your door, Jeff, because of what you have accomplished. And now, listen, this is the point I want to make. There is no safe ground with these people. There is no gray area. If you, in any way, shape, or form, go against their ideology, they will show up to your house with a guillotine outside in protest of who you are and what you've accomplished. You think that these things aren't going to turn into violent behavior someday? Of course they will. That's where these ideologies go. These people believe this stuff, but not even you're safe, Jeff. Not even you're safe from the SJW left. No matter how much money you got, these people do not care. Because if you are not one of them, then you are gone. And they'll show up with a guillotine at your house. There's no protecting yourself from these dangerous ideologies. Stop catering to the rage mob. Stop trying to make it look like you're one of them. Stop trying to make it look like you're actually on their side when your ideologies are actually capitalistic. But their ideologies are communistic, and they cannot coexist with each other. It ends in bloodshed. That's the communist way, because you cannot be a capitalist inside of a communist utopia. You must be removed. And Jeff Bezos and every other leftist that is taking advantage of the American dream, and that is a capitalist, that has their own business, that is successful independently right now, that is using their voice to cater to the rage mob, your time is ticking, because someday they're going to either force you to bow and to disown your entire way of life, or they are going to hang you, or they're going to guillotine you. That's the message that these people are sending. If you don't believe me, then listen to one of the comments that one of these radical communists made outside of Jeff Bezos' house, right in front of it, in front of a guillotine. Take a look.
It is still exploitation. And when they become threatened and we have no voice, the knives come out.
Someday, America, these kids are going to be in power. Someday, these kids are going to be mayors, are going to be governors, are going to be senators. Someday, we might have a Marxist president. Oh, you might say, no, there's no way. There's no way. Oh, really? We literally had Bernie Sanders running for president, almost successful. A clear socialist Marxist. He's just the beginning, America. All of these kids are going to be in power someday, and Americans need to make a decision. How are we going to deal with this? How are we going to combat this? Stop being passive. Engage. Do something. Stop sitting on the sidelines thinking that someone's going to come and fix it. Get engaged now, because these things are going to ruin our country for the next who knows how many decades. These ideologies are already destroying the moral fabric of America socially. And it's creeping in our government. It's creeping in policy. But right now, we need to stand against this stuff. And right now, we need to take a stand against Marxism and communism, because it is an absolute threat to freedom in our constitutional republic. Alrighty, guys, thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Real News Gang. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for financially supporting me to make it to these things. For those of you that have joined the Real News Gang on Patreon and support me monthly, thank you. If you are not yet, the links are in the description below. If you want to give a one-time donation and support the Real News Gang that way, you can do that as well. The link is in the description below as well. And also make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and also hit the bell notification, guys. Your financial support is what is the foundation of the Real News Gang Lives Matter movement. Without you, I wouldn't be able to make it to these events. I wouldn't be able to make this coverage. I wouldn't be able to make it on Breitbart, Daily Wire, Blaze, or Fox News. It's only because of you. I don't have a big multimedia company behind me. You guys are the support, we the people. And I thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.